I want to tell you about two semi-fictional people. And by the end of this, you're probably going to like one of them more than the other. And I did that on purpose. Let me introduce you to Joe. Joe grew up in clothes passed down from other kids at school. He was small and thin, which was lucky in a way because he could fit into things his classmates had already grown out of. So small, in fact, that his primary school teacher once called his grandmother in to share her concerns about the boy's cognitive development. He proved her wrong. Excellent student for the first years, in the next 6 he discovered computers and programming and became one of the standout kids in his year. After secondary school, he got a job at a computer shop. Sales floor first, then technician. Followed military service, then back to IT. The next several years were a grind. Long hours, not much sleep. In his 30s, he spotted an emerging area of technology, invested most of his time and his money into it, and took dozens of courses. Today, he is a director at a multinational. And now, Patrick. Patrick's grandmother took him shopping every spring and every autumn. He loved those trips, even if he wasn't always thrilled with her fashion sense. Around middle school, a family friend paid in full for him to attend a language school. In secondary school, he got into a hard-to-access pilot program in information technology. He was the first student enrolled in it nationwide. His teenage years revolved around 2 computers his aunt gave him and a third he bought with the inheritance from the grandmother who used to take him shopping. In his second job, he found a mentor who put him in charge of a team at the young age of 25. A few years later, with enough financial stability to take the risk, he started his own business and ran it for 6 years. Through that business, he met someone who, when the venture ended, hired him. Today, he is a director at a multinational. Now that you know Joe and Patrick, I bet you like one of them more than the other. And I bet you like Joe. I told the stories that way deliberately, one built around effort and persistence, one built around access and privilege. For some, Joe's story is the one that counts. Joe is the proof that hard work gets you there. For others, it's Patrick's story that counts, and not as something to admire. What I haven't looked back yet is that I presented them as semi-fictional right at the start. Put the 2 stories together and you get one story. Joe and Patrick are the same person. They are me. I am going to argue that merit is less important than most people think. A clear version of this came from a conversation with an American. Warm, affable, and thoroughly conservative. I walked him through my story, the full account of it, and contrasted it with the social housing estates and poor neighborhoods surrounding the city where I grew up. I asked him whether what I'd achieved was purely down to my own merit. What followed from him was a masterclass in post-hoc rationalization. Without saying a word about the communities around me, he focused entirely on my work ethic, my family, my community, which he described as a safety net, strong and solidary. The implication, never made explicit, was that the communities around mine didn't have those things. No culture of merit, no work ethic, not strong, not solidary. Most people who know my history tend to highlight merit. I don't reject that. Some of what I have achieved is genuinely down to effort and persistence. What I reject is telling the story only through Joe. Patrick is relevant, very relevant. Patrick didn't have more merit than Joe, he had better conditions. Same person, different conditions, same destination. That's my whole point. What my American friend forgot is this. On average, the people I know who grew up in those neighborhoods have substantially different outcomes from those who didn't. Not because they tried less, because the conditions were different. When we look at ourselves and the people we care about, we see merit when they succeed, or bad luck when they fail. Everyone else gets a simpler read. People in worse circumstances didn't try hard enough, and people doing better just got lucky. No one's life is that simple. Merit is real, but it doesn't operate in isolation. Effort and circumstance interact, and circumstance functions as a multiplier. Change one variable. An illness, the place of birth, the gene pool, and the outcome shifts. Pretending merit operates independently of the conditions each person starts from isn't a neutral position, it's a reductive one. The goal shouldn't be to discredit merit, it should be to reduce the inequalities in conditions that determine how far merit can actually travel. So here's what I keep thinking about. If Joe and Patrick are the same person and you like Joe more, what does that tell you about which stories you are willing to count?